Hello everybody, my name is Troublmaker, and this is Wargame European Escalation. I have a match between the NATO player Eric von Manstein and his opponent, which we saw last week. His name is FR-nIwo, which we'll be calling nIwo. nIwo is a top player. As I found out later, he did in fact get into the beta just because of his standing talent. Inoka told me afterwards that nIwo was the hardest opponent he had to face for the challenge. Just to give you an idea of this guy's skill and caliber. And Eric von Manstein, I have no idea who this guy is. Might be completely new to the game, might be a seasoned veteran, no clue. But he's going to get a lot of helicopters, and he's going to get some infantry. So it looks like we're going to see some sort of, and I do say some sort of, because I'm not entirely sure, some sort of helicopter infantry play. It's not all in because you got the two commands, but it's something. And yeah, I'll have to get back to him afterwards because I just can't figure out his loadout just yet. nIwo, of course, very, very good player. So far he has 3 commands. I'm not sure if he's going to get rid of this UAZ or not. That could be a big, big determiner on what happens here. Of course, if you're new to the game, if you want to get rid of a unit you've plopped or has been plopped down for you, you right-click on it and it goes away. Same thing with the FOB. It's worth 100 points. Oh, look at that. He got rid of his FOB. Getting rid of the FOB gives you 100 more points. It gets you a lot less supply over time, but the huge bolstering of units will allow you to do things like take over key positions of the map, like this middle area. And away we go. So on the bottom here, it looks like a total, well, not total. There's a lot of infantry, a lot of helicopters, and some tank destroyers. Some, not a lot. And there's also an AMX 30B, so this isn't any kind of all-in or anything. But it looks like he's going to try and play infantry along the map. When you want to get an infantry to a location very quickly, and key locations are often these jungly type locations, you use helicopters. And the hope is that after you drop down that helicopter, you will have such an advantage from all the kills that infantry is getting that you can just grab bases. And that's a different approach from what we'll be seeing from nIwo, who's getting extra units so he can go be aggressive and take this Juliet base, which is generally pretty hard to catch because you got lots of bushes around here that are kind of dangerous. Big giant open cross river fields here and stuff. Now these helicopters are being used as escorts so far by Eric von Manstein. Just doesn't want to get his units picked off, and he might use them for skirmishing. It's possible. He might also use them for all-ending against against command armors. And this poor little transport helicopter is going to find a little bit of a surprise here, as there's already a Puma already going to drop off a squad, and here comes the Chasseurs from us greeting him, saying hello. And in fact, you know, Eric is going to see this. He's not going to fall for this. I believe this is going for a reinforcement block. With the reinforcement block, what you're trying to do is units will come through this line, and so you put units in that path, and they won't fire before, like they won't be able to fire back in time as they're spawning. And whoa, looks like we see this is a very common bug in the game, where your weapons don't quite fire, and the VAB not quite able to get there. And actually, look at this, not even an all-in, going for a 3 command strategy on this map. What a madman! What a baller! And keep in mind though, the 3 he's choosing are not the biggest. He hasn't taken Foxtrot. He'll be taking Charlie, Alpha, and Delta. So he's still going to have a pretty significant points lead here with 9 versus 5. But it's not as crazy as if he would have taken this one, this one, this one, and trying to hold this group with multiple bridges. I think nIwo realizes he can't do anything with this helicopter, possibly. Not really sure what to do with it right now. Where he'd want it to be is coming here and here. And keep in mind, this is the long path for him to take. Of the 2, he did this very, very specifically because if you take the easy path, there's always, always, always somebody watching. And it's a lot harder to get. But this path, no one really expects. So you can, there's a lot of play involved in the game where people don't expect stuff. And actually, look at this. We see nIwo is also taking a 4th base, and believe he has a points advantage right now, but will be around even. So we're going to see a pretty long macro-y game. Keep in mind this is destruction. so it's all or nothing. And Niwo going to rally lots of infantry, and Von Rix is actually going to put out lots of tanks. Lots of tanks, some infantry, and Amex rolling too. Whoa, we have battle happening against just this poor little transport. And you're actually going to use these VDVs, which were probably intended for right here, just to go into the woods at the Charlie base. And at least they get spot. He's probably wishing they were recon right now, though. And a small little infantry push. This is an attempt at reinforcement blocking. Reinforcement blocking pays out so well that you might as well try it at least once every single game. And I know by saying that, a lot of people can get really annoyed. It's like, troublemaker, you shouldn't tell people to do that annoying tactic. But it's true. You should absolutely always try a reinforcement block at least once. If they block it the first time, you can either come with more units or give up on it. But in the least, doing a reinforcement block forces your opponent into putting units around the reinforcement points, which means that his forces will be spread much, much more thin along the axis, which means that he's less likely to do some kind of crazy all-ins on you with big, massive pushes, and it also means that your all-ins are also going to be very, very effective compared to his. So those are two thoughts on why you should always reinforcement block. Very good, awesome tactic. Has been in the game since the beginning of time, and it won't go away. It's a great tactic. It's a great way of thinking about things. Oh, troublemaker, that's a bullshit tactic, they would say. But it's not. So he's going heavy, heavy favoring on these AMX-30B Valeries. They also have slight anti-air capacity, which is good. And as a mirror, Niwo is going for these T-64s, which are basically the equivalent of the AMX-30B, except they have more armor, just slightly. And here comes a huge, crazy push here by Manstein. And in this patch, huge, crazy pushes are not the way to go. But here comes a big Yager drop on top of a T-80. Can he get the T-80? If he does, this push will suddenly become very, very worthwhile. Looks like he's going for the vefed instead of the T-80. A little bit of mistake here by Eric von Manstein as he continues to push in. And he might lose everything. The T-80 going to pull back. Not going to lose that. The vefed not even going to go down. So it looks like that was a pretty flawless push here by Manstein, in which Niwo is just now dominating. Look at these side shots, getting rid of these auto cannon weapons, and the T-64s are away and a go. Also, apparently there's some sort of side flank here. I don't even know how he got here with these units. You can't drop lynxes like this. That's just weird. I don't understand how he got there. And they'll all get cleaned up. There's infantry to deal with it. There's a Havoc. There's two T-64s now in close range. Targeting the wrong vehicle, though. And the lynxes might be able to get a little more work done. But overall, Niwo just crushed this. It was actually a very well orchestrated push. It just didn't have the right groupings of units for a push. Generally speaking, when you make a push, you need to have some hard units. A T-80 is a good example of a hard unit. For the NATO, Abrams are hard units. The other one is that you could use as cheap units. So empty carriers. Leopard 1s are great cheap units. And just have them up in the front so that they're the ones that die in the initial push. And then you can just pick off these expensive units. But that's not what he did. He actually just went with purely powerful units that that don't have a lot of armor, and that caused a huge problem for him. Now it's still not over because this is a high-income game, and that's one thing of very high importance. Despite the fact that he has taken lots of losses, he's lost position. He's about to lose his Wisa, one toe, and possibly the AMX carrier. Oh, here comes a gazelle, a flock of gazelles coming in, descending from the distance, and T-64 will pull back. The Wisa still unclaimed, and these are not rallied in, by the way. These are ones he had before, and they're a great skirmishing unit, and that's what he's using them for. There's no anti-air here for Niwo right now, so things are gonna slip a little bit. Here comes an Osa. Osa fire. Will it connect? Miss. Complete miss. So, actually, I can't have been too much miss. Where'd the helicopters go? I think they died. Probably died. It's really weird that rocket didn't have an explosion effect. relying at more expensive tanks. These are, I think, a better tank for pushing. You note here 10 front armor, which means that, and the 5-star armor is pretty good too, which means that when you have your AMX 30Bs behind these guys, you will be able to deal insanely high amounts of damage without losing so much. This is what he should have done in the first place. This should work a lot better. A lot better. Note the relative speed differences between these vehicles. The Belarus is catching up most definitely to the Leopard. Just slowly, but ever so surely catching up. So both these vehicles have different top speeds on move fast, and infantry carriers, of course, are the fastest in the game. They are little speed demons. And here we go. This is going to be a little problem because the advantage here is front armor, and he's going to be approaching sideways. So will he shift around? I don't think so. Now this could do some damage. These guys are using lots of expensive tanks, so every time each of these guys loses tanks, they're in trouble. Lots of trouble. Now Niwo has a 400-point lead. That could all be dissolved in this attack. And realistically, to me, if this attack fails, the game's over. The lead by Niwo will be too high for Eric von Manstein to possibly come back. But whoa, here we go. He's going for a command armor. Drops the augers. And the hell? Oh, I see. Yep, Eric von Manstein made the right choice. And by right choice, I mean if your attack has failed like that twice in a row, you should just leave. Sticking around doesn't really serve your purpose, specifically for laddering. Niwo wins. Solid, clear defenses. Both players doing relatively well, but Niwo comes out on top with a solid anti-tank defense. My name is Troublemaker. This has been your war game for the week. Join me next week, and I'll have 2 more games. Make sure to subscribe to the channel or the playlist, war game matches. And if you like this video, definitely give me a big giant thumbs up. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you next week.